Good morning, everyone. In the last session, we discussed about the important concept called the array DQ. Array DQ is the implementation of DQ interface here. So we discussed the what are the methods we are having. So each and every method we discuss here. Okay. So basically, now we'll understand the collection framework part one here. So what are the classes and what are the interfaces we discussed so far here. So now, if you understand this particular collection framework. Now what I'm going to write here. So first here, what is the interface we are using? The main interface is collection. The main interface is collection. So from this particular collection, what we are having, the first interface is list. So list is extended from this particular collection. Okay, and the collection internally it is implemented. So what are the two classes here? Array list and linked list here. Array list and linked list here. So now another important here, set here. Set here. So set basically what is doing? So set one time here, like it is extending the hash set here. It is the implementation of this particular set here. Hash set is the implementation of this particular set here. And internally, so hash set is extending sorted set, and the sorted set internally it is extending navigable set. Okay, and the navigable set internally it is implemented by the tree set. So this is the IMP. IMP means implementation class. So linked list is also implementation class. Okay, array list is also implementation class here. And here, so hash set is also implementation class here. And so one more class. So one more class basically it is not directly implementing from the set. It is extending from this particular hash set. So this is a linked hash set. Linked hash set. So this particular class also implementation class here. Getting the point. So this is we observe. And another one. So that is something like a queue. Okay, queue is an interface. Queue directly implemented by the priority queue. Okay, so priority queue basically it is a implementation class. And the queue it is implemented by the DQ. So DQ is also one interface, and the DQ is implemented by the array DQ. Okay, so array DQ is the implementation class. So now you can see what are the implementation classes we are having, what are the interfaces. So this diagram is very important to understand the collection framework part one. Because why I'm saying the part one here, this particular classes it is not going to take key value pair, it is going to take as a object. Okay, here if you open any interface or any class, here we are going to use the generic type called E. Okay, the generic type called E. Here we are going to provide the elements here. So in the in place of this particular elements, we can provide any object like the vapor classes like integer, long, double, float, character, okay, boolean, and we can provide the customized classes like so whatever the newly created classes, like we discussed the person example, you can create a member example. So if you are trying to work with based on the application, so we are going to create a multiple classes here. So you can identify, we can work with multiple classes here. Okay, so this is what we need to understand. So this particular diagram, so far we discuss here, implementation classes, interfaces here. Now today we'll discuss about the part two here. Part two means collection framework, so which is going to take as a key value pair. So before going to discuss about this particular key value pair, now, so we need to discuss the another important methods called iterator. Iterator. So what exactly the iterator will do now? So iterator basically, if I want to load the values one by one, if I want to repeat the values one by one, okay. So now if you want to cycle the values using the iterator. So like if I want to load or if I want to print one by one value, what we can do for this particular collection framework, we can use the iterator. So we are having two interfaces, iterator as well as list iterator. So basically what exactly the iterator will do, so it's a simple understanding here. If we want to display the each element, if we want to display the each element, so we can use the iterator. Now if I want to, so this is basically before display the each and elements here, what we can do, so first we need to call the iterator method. So where we are having this particular iterator, we already discussed the iterator method, which is coming from the collection. Okay, so iterator method we already discussed it, which is coming from the collection. Now if you see here we are having iterator. Okay, so we'll try to discuss the iterator first, and later we'll go to the collection framework part 2 here. Okay, before going to discuss about this particular iterator, so any questions regarding this particular diagram? Still anyone having any questions? Any implementation class or any interface? Okay, if you don't have anything, now what we can do basically, so we'll try to discuss about the iterator here. Now here you can see here we are having iterator object here. So whenever we are calling this particular iterator method, now we'll get the iterator object here. So what we understand here, using this particular iterator, we can display the one by one element here. So each element we can display here. Okay, now so we'll try to use the array DQ here, because this array DQ yesterday we implemented here. Now so I'm trying to comment out the remove related methods here, and here you can see integer dot iterator, integer dot iterator. So now what you are understanding here, integer dot iterator here, this particular iterator, now what exactly it is going to do now. So if you understand here, now we need to understand the internal implementation of this particular iterator. Let me run in the debug mode. Okay, so now if you observe what we are doing here, if you remember, we are trying to create a object of this particular DQ iterator. Okay, so now here only we can see this is the private class. This is the private class called DQ iterator, which is implementing the iterator. Iterator basically it is a interface here. It is a interface. Now here you can see this is an interface we are having. What are the methods we are having? The first method we are having as next, second method we are having next method, and this is the default method remove method. So this is the default method remove method, and so for each remaining, so this is the one more method we are having. But internally which method we are calling it? So as next we are calling, and here we are passing the next method here. So here also we are trying to do the as next and next here. Okay, so instead of providing the iterator directly, we can call this particular for each remaining. You can provide the what type of action we want to do, so that it will try to do the respective operation here. It will try to do the respective operations here. So first what we will do, we'll focus on these two methods. We'll focus on this particular two methods here. So what exactly this particular two methods will do now? What exactly this particular two method will do? So what you can understand here, iterator is one of the interface here. Using this particular two method, we can load the value one by one. So what exactly the has next method will do? Whether the collection is having the next element or it is going to check. If the collection having the next element, we can call the next method. So that the next method, what it will do, it will try to load the next record and it will try to return here. So here also what we are using, element here. So this is the generic type we are using here. This is also very important here. Now this particular generic type, what it will do, so whenever we are trying to work with any collection, it will try to support the same collection here, so that we'll get the respective data type object here. Okay, now observe here. Now here I'm calling the iterator. Okay, so here this is an interface we are having, and here if you go to the ArrayDQ, here we are having the implementation class. For each and every class, so it is implemented the special implementation class here. Now you can see we are having a size method, and this is the constructor. This is the constructor we are having, and this is the has next. So what we are having as next here? So remaining. If the remaining greater than 0, it will try to return as a true. So where we are making this particular remaining related information, now here you can see remaining, we are calling, like we are trying to initializing with help of this particular size method. So size method, what it will do, whatever the objects we are having, okay, whatever the objects we inserted into this particular array DQ, it will return the particular count here. The same count we are initializing into remaining. Now here you can see if the remaining less than or equal to 0, will get an exception. Otherwise, so this is an object we are loading the elements here. Based on this particular elements, now we are checking the whether it is a null or empty record. After that, we are doing the increments here. We are passing it, and finally we are trying to return this particular e. And here we are decreasing the remaining here. Okay, how many times we are going to call this particular next method? For each and every time, the remaining value it is going to be decreased here. Okay, so this is the internal implementation of this particular next method. Okay, so this next method implementation, it will be a different whenever we are having each and every class. But simple understand what we can understand here using this particular iterator. Using this particular iterator, we'll try to repeat the value one by one here. Using this particular iterator, we'll try to repeat the value one by one. So now here, what I'm doing here, we observe so this iterator, what is the iterator object we are going to get here? DQ iterator. DQ iterator here. Okay, so now observe carefully here, what I'm doing here. This is the iterator class we are having, like iterator object we observe here. Now, iterator dot. So what we are having? Next here. Okay, so what exactly it will do now? If I'm going to print this, so what exactly the next method will do now? So stop and rerun here. Now here you can see we are getting the 964. Okay, here we are getting the 964. So how we are getting the 964? Because 964 is the first record. 964 is the first record. The same record I'm printing here. After that, the entire object we are printing. So here, now I want to load one by one here. So first record I loaded. But what about the second record? If I want to load the second record, now what we can do basically, we need to use the has next method. We need to use the has next method. So how I'm going to be using? So here I'm using the while loop here. Iterator dot has next I'm using. And if you are having as next here, so what exactly it will do? It will try to return as a boolean value. It will try to return as a boolean value here. So whenever we are going to get as a true, so it will enter into this particular block here, and it will try to execute like it will call the next method, and it will try to print to the particular object here. Okay, so now here you can see this is a while loop, and again I'm trying to call the same method. Now we are going to get the objects. So now you can see 964 to 741. These are coming from this particular while here, and these are the original object we are trying to print here. So now to understand this, now what I am doing here, empty println I'm printing, so that the output it will try to print in the next line. It will try to print in the next line. So these values we loaded from the iterator method, and so this particular object we are trying to print with the help of the line number 26 println statement here. Okay, so now finally what we understand here. So using this particular iterator, Now here, what we are doing basically, we are trying to load the objects here. We're trying to load this particular object here. So we are having we are having the two iterator. The first one is this particular iterator we are having. So second one, we are going to have a list iterator. We are going to have a list iterator. So what exactly the list iterator will do now? Now if you see here, integer dot list iterator. So we don't have here. Why we are not having it? The list iterator is implemented by the sum of the classes here. The list iterator, it is not going to have all the classes. So we'll see where we are having this particular list iterator here. So here you can see this is a list iterator we are having. Getting the point? So this is the specific list iterator we added under this particular list interface. So iterator we are getting from this particular collection here, and the list iterator we are having only the list related interface here. So what is another advantage we are going to get when we are trying to work with this particular list iterator? So we'll get the another advantage basically here. We are going to get only next elements. So there is no scope about the previous elements. There is no scope about the previous element. But whenever we are trying to work with this particular list iterator, whenever we are trying to work with this particular list iterator, we'll get the previous elements scope also here. Okay. So now to understand this, now what I'm doing here, I'm going to provide the specific methods here. Okay. I'm going to provide the specific methods here. So what are the specific methods we are having? So here you can see we are having as next here, and next we are having, so just now we discussed here, and another method has previous and previous. Has previous and previous. So these are the two methods. It will try to provide the previous value. Now after that, so next index, if you want to load the next index and previous index. So index related, when we are going to be work here, so here we'll try to work with only the list related interfaces, because the list related interface can contain it is going to be used the index related information. So other implementation classes or other interfaces, we are not going to work with the indexes here. Okay. So finally, the list iterator, it is going to be useful only whenever we are trying to work with this particular list related classes here. Okay. List related classes here. So this is what we need to understand here. This is what we need to understand. So we'll see the important section, what exactly the particular iterator related the methods, how it is implemented. To understand this, now what we need to do, we need to write the example related to the array list or the linked list here. Okay, we'll see the particular example. So now another important section here. The another important section basically, what we understand here, list iterator, it is not going to be supported at array DQ implementation classes here. Okay, so only it is going to be supported iterator level. So using this particular iterator, now what I am doing here, so here any additional method we are having here, iterator dot, so we are having remove here, iterator dot remove here. So what we are doing basically, here, so using this particular iterator, we can remove the object also. We can remove this particular object also. So here, so carefully observe here. Now what I'm trying to explain here, this is the integers we are having. Now what we can do, we can go for this particular for loop here. Okay, or we can go for the for each here. Now what I'm doing here, integer, and here integers I'm providing. Here. So now what I'm doing here we are going to get the each and every record. So here you can see sysout integer I'm trying to print here. Okay. So now if you observe carefully, So now if you observe carefully, I am trying to print the value with help of this particular. Okay. So here, what you are understanding is, so the same values now I am able to print with help of this particular for loop. Getting the point? Here, we already discussed this particular for each. So if we want to print the value one by one, or if we want to load the value one by one, what we can do, we can call this particular for loop, and this is a collection reference here. And each collection object, like a collection reference means it contains the multiple values. Okay. Whenever this particular loop it is going to be repeated, for each time the current value it is going to be set into this particular integer, the same current value I'm trying to print here. Okay, so let's say here we are having the integers. So this particular reference I'm talking about, this particular integer is having 10 records. Okay, so first time the for loop is repeated. Okay, now what happened from this particular 10 records, the first record is loaded and it is assigned into the particular integer. First record, let's say that is a 10. So second record, now that is 20. Okay, third record, that is 30. Like it will keep on overriding the current value. Initially, we started with the 10. So next iteration 20, and the current iteration 30, and for the another iteration it will become the 40. Like variable name is the values changing. So these values are picking from the where it's trying to picking from this particular 10 record. The 10 record reference variable what we provided, so we provided as a integers here. Okay, we given as a integers. So now what we are doing using this particular for loop, now we are doing the same operation. We are doing the same operation. So now what you are trying to understand here. So currently iterator and for loop both this particular operations are is trying to do the loading the values, like loading the one by one value. But another important section what we need to understand here, another important section what we need to understand here. So here we need to understand the important section basically here. Okay, so here what you can understand here. Now I'm going to provide the body of this particular for loop so that I can add multiple records here. Now I want to remove this particular record here. I want to remove this particular record here. Now what I'm doing it, integer dot, so remove I'm providing, and I'm giving the integer. I'm giving the integer. So now you can see. Okay, so what happened basically, we remove the records here. We remove the particular records here. So which method we are calling it? The object class remove method. Sorry, whatever this particular array_dq we are having, so array_dq remove method which is expecting object as a parameter. Getting the point? Now, so without specifying this, now there is no scope to remove the objects. Without specifying this, there is no scope to remove the object. But here, what we can do, so here we are having iterator dot remove. Iterator dot remove here. So here we are going to understand the current object we are going to remove. The current object we are going to be removed here. So now you can see, so directly whatever the current object we are trying to process here, the current object we are removing. Current object we are removing it. So when we are trying to work with whenever we are trying to work with multiple threads here, this behavior it is not going to be supported. Okay, but whereas this, so still we can use here. Using this particular iterator, we can do the removing the object also here. So another important section here, iterator dot so what we are having another important method. So now you can see next we discuss here. So we'll see this particular for each remaining what exactly it will do equals hash code toString. These are the object class methods. These are the object class methods. So now what we need to understand here, so using the iteration while loading an object, we can do the another important section called we can remove the element from the specified collection. Okay, so how we are trying to removing it? So here we are trying to remove the based on the current iterations here. So this is we can do the with help of this particular iterator. So to understand this particular list iterator, what we can do basically, so we need to discuss the array list or linked list class here. Okay, so before going to discuss about the array list or linked list here, now what I want to provide here, I want to provide the okay, I want to provide the for each remaining. So what exactly the for each remaining is going to do here? So it is also same. It is also same behavior it is going to do here. Now here I'm trying to comment out this particular remove part here. Okay, so this is instead of commenting the entire the while loop we can comment out. Entire while loop we can comment out. So here you can see iterator dot for each remaining here. Now what I'm doing is, so it is expecting the parameter. Like if you observe functional interface, we already discussed the functional interface in the previous example. Now here the for each remaining it is expecting the consumer. So consumer is having a one method called accept here. Okay, so go to this particular iterator. So this is the for each remaining. So consumer, which method we are calling accept method, which is expecting the one parameter. Okay, which is expecting the one parameter. Now what I am doing here, the same parameter here I'm trying to providing. The same parameter now I'm trying to providing here. So something like integer. So now I'm going to print the same integer here. Now I'm going to print the same integer here. Okay, so I'm going to print the same integer here. Now here you can see. So here you can see we are trying to print the value. So these are the values. The print statement which is we are going to get from the for loop, and the second these are the values we printed, because here I am using the println. I am using the println. Because of that, now it is trying to print in the next line here. So another important section. So this is we are printing the line number 35. So whatever the integer object we are having, like whatever the DQ object we are printing, so that is we can do with help of this particular println. So here the for each remaining basically it is expecting the functional interface type here. So using that, because we already discussed the multiple functional interface example here, so we can provide the whatever the way we want to work with the iterator here. We can provide the whatever the way we are trying to work with it. So this is a simple example. Instead of writing this particular 3 lines of code here, simply we can call the for each remaining, provide the parameter and print, or you can do the other operations. You can do the other operations here. So what are the other operations we can do here? Let's say here I want to do the first one, integer dot. So these are the integer value I'm going to get here. Okay, so here with help of this particular integer, now we can perform any operations, like we can call the so third party API call, or we can update into the another collection, or we can remove this particular object with help of this particular the above integers here. So we can do any operations. So let's say if I'm trying to do this particular integer dot remove, and I can provide the integer. So now finally all the objects are going to be removed here. All the objects are going to be removed here. So now, so this is we can do with help of this particular remove method here. Now you can see. So what happening basically? Here we are getting the exception. Okay. Here we are getting the exception. So what is an exception we are expecting? Concurrent to modification exception. Now what you understand here? So using this particular stream related operation, okay, so we cannot remove the objects here. We cannot remove the object. So whenever we are trying to remove the object, so what is the best option? This particular value. Getting the point? Because so this particular streams, it will try to provide the loading very fast here. So while removing, it will try to work with the multiple objects here. So we are going to get the same exception, concurrent modification exception here. Okay, so we cannot work with this particular removing operation with help of this particular functional interface here. So what we can do? Simply we can load the particular values here. So how I am going to be load this particular values here? To understand this particular values, to loading this particular value, simply here, so this is the print statement we can do with help of this particular printing of values here. Okay, or else we can do the system.out.println. It will try to print to the all the values it is printing here. Okay, so is it understand? So any questions regarding this particular iterator? It's a simple one. Basically, iterator, using this particular iterator, we can load the values. Along with that, we can remove the values with help of this particular remove method. And here, the for each remaining method, which is introduced from the 1.8, and here we are going to pass the particular functional interface type, so that what exactly it will do? It will do the one by one loading the value, and it is going to print the value here. Okay, so this is what we need to understand here. Okay, so still any questions? Okay, so these are about the iterator. Now we need to understand the list iterator. So to understand the list iterator, what we can do, we'll go to the array list class here. So this is the array list demo we are having it. Now here, what we can understand here, these are the classes we added. Uh, Array list string, no? So we'll work on the any array list here. So now we'll work on the list dot list iterator. List dot list iterator. So this is a list iterator object we are having it. Now whenever we are using this particular list iterator, object to list iterator, so previous value I'm trying to print. Okay, previous value I'm trying to print here. So observe carefully. Here I'm calling the method called previous. Now I'm trying to print this particular previous here. We'll see whether the previous is going to print here. So now you can see no such element exception. No such element exception we are getting. So why we are getting this? Because at the first time we cannot call the previous. At the first time we cannot call the previous. So first time what we can do? We can call the next method. Getting point. For the first time we can call the next method, so that it will try to print the next record. So here you can see 4, 5, 6 we are getting. But whenever I'm trying to call the same previous, now we got an exception. Whenever I'm trying to call the previous, now we got an exception. So because here what we can understand is the first record there is no previous record. For the first record we'll have a next record. Okay, this is we observe. If I want to go for the next record, what we can do? So we need to work on the while loop. So this is a while loop I'm having. Object iterator dot has next here. Okay, so now Based on this particular value, now I'm going to print the all the records here. Okay, so these are the three records we are having. These are the three records. So now, whenever I reach to the last record, now what we can do? We can call the previous here. We can call the previous. So let's say here I'm going to call the as previous here. Here we are going to have the previous and next here. Now you can see. So 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9. These are the three records we got from the next year, and these three records we got from the previous. Getting the point. So now, along with that, what we observe here, we observe the another important section called indexes here. So what are the indexes basically? So here you can see next index here. Okay, next index. Now I'm trying to print the next index here. Okay, here you can see the 4, 5, 6, 1, 1, 2, 3 is 2, 7, 8, 3, 7, 8, 9, and 3. These are the indexes. So same way, if I'm going to print the previous indexes. Okay, if I'm going to print the previous indexes, it will try to print the previous indexes values here. Here I'm trying to print the previous indexes. So finally, so we are trying to work with the previous records. Okay, and next records, previous indexes, next indexes. So this is we can do. And along with that, what is the additional option we are going to get here? Same remove method. So remove method. Now, so here, whenever I'm trying to remove this particular object here, remove we are having. So what happens whenever I'm trying to work with this particular remove here? Now here you can see, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9. 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9. So while removing here, there is no previous records here. Whenever we are trying to do the next iteration, we are removing the record. So here, there is no scope to execute this particular while loop, the previous related while loop here. Because here, we are having three records here. The three records we are trying to remove here. We are trying to remove this particular three records. So this is the iterator and list iterator. These are the two important methods we are having in the collection framework here. Getting the point? This is what we need to understand here. Okay. So still any questions regarding the iterator and list iterator? Basically here, the for each when we can use and when we can use the iterator. Getting the point? So here, whatever the step we did, this particular steps we can do the for loop also, or we can go for the for each here. But here, what is a alternate to this particular iterator? Basically here, whenever we are not going to modify the particular content of the collection, getting the point, or whenever we are not doing the some reverse order, so then what we can do? So we can go for the for loop. So it's a simple understanding it. Simply we are trying to load the records. Okay, or we are trying to print the records one by one. So in that case, what we can do? We can go for this particular for each here. We can go for this particular for each here. But whenever we are trying to do the modification on the current collection, the for each it is not going to be suitable here. So we need to go to the either iterator or the list iterator here. Getting the point? So this is what we need to understand the important section here. Okay, so I'm expecting it. So we got the clearance of this particular iterator and as well as this particular list iterator here. Now another important the it's like a 1.8. It is introduced one important interface called split iterator. Okay, split iterator. So what exactly the split iterator will do now? So far, the iterator and list iterator we discussed. If you go to this particular, this is the iterator. So when it is introduced here, you can see the since here. So which is coming from the 1.2 here. The iterator, it is introduced a 1.2 version onwards here. So whereas the list iterator also, it is introduced from the 1.2 version. Okay. Now, so we need to discuss the another important iterator call. So that is something like a, okay. So that is something like a split iterator. Integer dot. So where we are having, this is the split iterator we are having here. Now here, what is an object we are getting? So this is a split iterator object we are getting. Now if I want to show you this, now from which version onwards it is available? From the 1.8 onwards here. So this is a newly introduced the interface here. So now you can see try advanced. It is expecting the functional interface. Here also it is expecting the functional interface. And this is the abstract method. And here it is a one more abstract method. And this is a default method. So get extract size if no. And this is the one more abstract method we are having. And this is the default method. So these are the some ordered testing values we are going to get. These are the declared variables here. Getting the point. So finally, what you understand here, here we are having some of the methods are in the abstract method, some of them are implemented. Okay. So now, if you understand this particular split iterator, it is a functional interface. It is not a functional interface. Getting the point? Because functional interface can contain only one abstract method. But here you can see this is a one abstract method we are having, and this is another abstract method. This is another abstract method. Okay. But here, so if you go to the consumer, so consumer is a functional interface. It is having only one abstract method, and this is the default method. This is a default method, sir. Getting the point? So this is what we need to understand regarding this particular split iterator as well as consumer here. Now we need to understand this particular split iterator. So what exactly the split iterator will do now? Okay, basically in the 1.8, so this is the new type of this particular iterator is added, so that we are going to call it as a split iterator here. Now what exactly it will do? The split iterator cycle, like it is going to repeat or it is going to be load the value in the sequence of elements, here. And here, so whatever we did with help of this particular iterator, it will do the same behavior. Along with that, okay, so what is the advantage we are going to get here? Basically, the split iterator, it is going to provide the parallel execution. Getting the point? It is going to provide the support for the parallel execution. The parallel execution, so we are not going to get with the help of this particular iterator as well as the list iterator here. Getting the point? So because of that only, so the new type of this particular iterator is introduced in the 1.28 here. Okay, so this is we can understand here. Now, however, so here we can use a split iterator whenever we are not going to use the parallel execution also. Getting the point? Now here internally it is going to use the combination of this particular has next and next operation into the one method call. What is the one method here? So something like here we can go for this particular try advance here. Okay, so we'll see what exactly this particular split iterator is going to do. Now, using this particular split iterator, what we can do the basic iteration of, so using this particular first method called try advance here. Okay, the try advance, if you remember here, it is returning the Boolean value. The try advance method, it is trying to return the Boolean value. Now, until unless this particular try advance, it is going to be written the false. So we can repeat, like we can load the value and we can do the operation. So whatever the operation we did with help of this particular iterator and list iterator, so same operation we can do using this particular try advance. But when it is going to be stop here, whenever the try advance, it is going to be written the false value. Okay, this is what we need to understand here. And here, so if you observe in the iterator or list iterator, we have a method called for each remaining. So what exactly the for each remaining method is doing it? It is expecting one of the functional interface type and it is trying to repeat the values here. So same way, here also we can do the same for each remaining here. Okay, now here you can see what we are doing is we are trying to work with the do while loop, and in the while loop what we are doing is try advance. So same, we are calling the same method. We are calling the same method and it will do the same operations here. Getting the point? Now this is what we need to understand here. So here, what I am trying to provide this particular value here, this is important here. Now go to this particular ArrayDuke demo. Here we are having the split iterator. I'm calling the method called split iterator and I'm getting the interface object. So once we get this particular interface object here, now what we are going to do here? So what happens? For example, if I'm going to print the split iterator dot try advance. So what is expecting basically? Here it is expecting the functional interface type. So what we can do here, simply I want to provide the system dot out dot print here. System dot out dot print here. So how many records it is going to be printing here? How many records it is printing here? You can see here only one record. So 964. So if I'm going to comment out the last println statement here, if I'm going to comment out the last println statement here, so you can see only one record we are getting. One record, but I want to get the multiple records here. I want to get the multiple records. So how many records we are having recording this particular ArrayDQ? All the records I want to print here. All the records I want to print. So to print this, now what we can do here, we can provide the while loop here. Okay, here we can provide the while loop here and we can call the same logic here. Now you can see, so it is not able to print this. So here what we are having, without the space, now it is trying to print all the values. So what I can do, you can go for the println here. Now it will keep on printing the one by one record here. So 964, 751, whatever we are having here, all the records we are going to be get here. All the records now it is trying to print here. Okay, so now what is the main advantage we are going to be get here? We can do the same basic iteration what we did with help of the iterator as well as a list iterator. Along with that, we can work with the parallel execution, so that is not going to be supported by the iterator or list iterator. So this is what we need to understand here. So this is what we need to understand here. Now here, along with this, we can add we can do some additional operations. Let's say, so instead of printing the only value, what I want to do here, I want to do the square root of this particular each and every value. Now for that, what I'm doing here, array list I'm trying to providing here, and we can go for the okay, double we can use here. Now here, new array list here. So here what I'm doing here, inside this particular try advance here, now I'm going to pass this is a n value I'm trying to pass here, and here doubles dot add. Now what I'm doing here, math dot, and here n we can provide. Okay, so now here you can see I'm doing the square root of this particular each and every value. I'm doing the square root of each and every value. So finally I'm going to print this particular doubles here. So not only the repeating the value, we are going to do the multiple operations with help of try advance here. So you can see this is the square root of this particular each and every value we are getting here. Each and every value I'm getting here. Now earlier just simply I print, but here based on the each and every value I'm doing the additional operation. Now the result I'm trying to add into this particular double array. Okay, so this is another important section we can do with the help of this particular split iterator. Any questions? Okay, so if we don't have anything here, so now we'll try to work with a map related interface. So far we started with the collection. Collection is a super interface for all the collection framework part 1. But now the second important section is map here. So map is a one more interface which is going to take as a key value pair here. Okay, so this is the map file I'm trying to use here, and here this is the map we are trying to discuss here. Now first I'm going to copy the public interface. Let me close this collection, and this is the map. Okay, so public interface map. Now here you can see the key comma view. K comma view in the sense key and value. But if you open the array DQ, or if you open the any class, so what we are having here, we are having generic type only one. But here you can see with the comma separated we are having two here. With the comma separated we are having two type of generics here. Two type of generics. So this is very important, we need to understand here. Now here whenever we are trying to work with this particular map here, we are going to provide the two generic types. Whenever we are trying to work with the collection, we'll provide only one generic type here. Okay, so this is what we need to understand the differences. So now go to the array DQ, how we provided the array DQ integer. At the same way, now we'll give the comma and we'll provide the one more data type here. So that will treat as a key value pair in the map related. Now, so this is the map interface. So we already know size method. So simply understand here, size what it will do basically, size it will try to return the current collection contain how many records. The current collection, like in the sense, the map contains how many records here. So is empty. We already discussed the is empty. It will check the whether the particular map is empty or not here. Now you can see, so we have a contains method. Okay, if you remember the contains, now simply we'll pass the object here. So we'll check the whether the given object is available or not. But here, what we are doing is contains key we are checking, because here it is expecting the key value pair here. So we can check the contains key, we can provide the key, and the same method we are going to have contains value. So same method we can pass the one more parameter called value. So this is the key related method and this is the value related method here. So simply we can check given key is available or not. Simply we can check given value is available or not here. And get method. Okay, get method. If you remember, the get method is available only in the list interface. So in the other collections we don't have a get method here. Okay, but here inside this particular map we are having the get, but here we are providing the key here. Getting the point? Here we are providing the key so that the value we are going to get. V means value we are going to get here. So this is a get method, and we are having a put method. We are having put method. So what is expecting this particular put method here? The put method basically it is expecting the key and value. Key and value here. So the another important method here, so remove method. So remove method is expecting the object key. Whenever you are providing the key, the respect to record it is going to be removed, and what we are returning? Simply we are returning the value. Okay, for this particular key, this is a value it is removed from the collection. So simple, remove in the sense the object it is going to be removed. And here we are having put all. So we already discussed here add all method. So same way we are going to have put all method, which is expecting in the collection we provided the collection, but we are working with the map. Now we are going to provide the map. And here you can see the K, and here you can see the V. So same here. So if you remember, here we change to collection, question mark is same. In place of this particular key, what we provided here, we provided the E. So that is called element here. Okay. So here we are trying to work with the map. So we are having this is the condition. So same clear method. Getting the point? So clear method is also same. What exactly it will do? It will try to clear the record from the map here. So key set. Key set. So here you can see the key set. It is trying to return the set here. Okay, it is trying to return the set. So what you understand here, the type you can see K here. Only we are going to get the keys. We are not going to get the key and the values here. So if you want to load only keys, what you can do, what we can do basically, so simply we can call the key set. Okay. So if you remember the generic concept here, basically the question mark will provide as a wildcard, and here basically if I want to say this is, we'll call it as a condition. What is the condition we are providing? So whenever we are providing the generic type K, okay, generic type K, the K it should be extended the whatever whenever we are trying to work with put all method. So to understand it clearly, array list. Okay, here it is open now. Now here what we are doing basically, so this is the first object. This is the first object we created. Now using this particular array list to dot add all I'm calling, and here I'm going to provide the list here. So whenever I'm providing the list here, now I'm getting an error here. So you can read this error. Why this particular error we are getting here? Okay. Now here what is saying? Change the variable array list type to object. Change the variable of this particular array list type to array list to object is suggesting. Here you can see the array list object here. But what we provided earlier, we provided the string here. Okay, we provided the string here. Now why we are getting this particular error here? So what is the method declaration is saying? Now you can see this is a collection we have provided, and question mark we are having, and extend E. So what is the E we provided? So what is the E we provided basically? The E is replaced with a string here. Getting the point? In place of E, what we are providing? String we are providing. And so whatever the list we are providing currently, the list having the type of object here. So here both the generic type both are different here. Both the generic types are different here. Getting the point? Now here what we are doing is, so the first object we come up with a string, second object we come up with the object. Now here, so this particular add all, now if you understand here, let me copy this. Okay. Now what I'm doing is, in place of E, I'm going to provide as a string because we changed this string, and the question mark here we are providing the object. Here we are providing the object because here the second record whatever the type we are having, object type. So I'm providing the object. Now you can see whatever the type we are providing, the object, it should either extend from this particular string, or we can provide the string as a replacement of this particular object here. But here what we are doing is, so basically object is a super class. But object, it is not going to extend any class. Object, it is not going to extend any class. But if I'm doing the reverse order, you can see here list dot add all, array list. If I'm trying to providing the reverse order, here I provide method parameter as a list here. Now we are getting an error. But list dot add all, the array list I'm providing as a parameter. So now we are not getting any error. Now what you understand here? So here you can understand easily, object internally it is not going to extend from this particular string class. But so you can do the reverse logic. you can do the reverse logic. So what is the reverse logic we are going to do here? We are going to do the reverse logic like this. Okay. Now here, so the string internally it is going to extend from the object. The string internally it is going to extend because by default all the classes are by default extend from this particular object class. Because of that, now it is resolving an issue. But here object itself is a super class. It is not going to extend from this particular string class. So what you understand here? So whenever we are trying to work with this particular question mark basically here K will play a very important role. For example, I'm providing the person and here I'm providing the member internally it should extend from the person. If it is not extending, we'll get an error. Or else in the question mark itself we can provide the person. Okay, so this is the main condition here. Basically simply we are making some condition whenever we are calling the put all. The what is the condition? So whenever we are providing the key as a the type here, the subtype it is accessible. Okay, the subtype it is acceptable. Otherwise we can provide the same type here. Otherwise we can provide the same type here. So this is what we need to understand here. This is what we need to understand here. Okay, so is it clear or any question? So basically it is a condition we are going to be used. So the condition it is not going to allow all the data types here. It will allow only the specific data type which is internally it is extended from this particular key. Okay, so any questions? So if you want to know more about this particular condition part, review the generic related example we discussed in the previous classes, so that you will understand what exactly the wildcard and bounded type it is going to be used here. Okay, so now coming back to the map related key set we observe here. So values. Okay, values. So if you want to load the keys, we can call the key set. If you want to load the values, you can call the values. Okay, and another important method call we are having entry set. Entry set here you can see whenever I'm calling the entry set, it is going to have map.entry set of map.entry record. So we'll see what exactly the set of map.entry record it is going to work with internally. Okay, now this is an interface. So this interface we can discuss later what exactly it will do here, and after that, so the compare method. So this is the methods are implemented internally. Now equals hash code method, and these are the default method. Okay, put if absent remove method. These are the default method we'll discuss later here. So default method we'll discuss later. So finally, these are the abstract method we are having under the map interface here. Okay, so first we'll discuss the interfaces and later we'll discuss about the implementation classes here. Okay, so now any questions regarding our today's session so far, whatever we discuss here, like iterator, list iterator, split iterator, and the map related some of the methods here. Okay, so we'll continue tomorrow the continuation of this particular map related interfaces.